Po ay magsisimula na ng ating palatuntunan sa loob ng ilang sandali. Ilang mga paalala bago po tayo magsimula sa ating palatuntunan. Ang lahat po ng ating mga panauhin ay pinapakiusapang panatilihing nakamute ang kanilang mga mikropono. At kung maaari lamang po ay buksan ito kapag magsasalita. Hinihikayat na buksan ang inyong mga kamera upang makita o makilala kayo bago tayo formal na magsimula sa ating programa. At kapag nagsimula na po ang ating palatuntunan, hinihikayat ang lahat na i-mute ang ating mga mikropono at i-off pansamantala ang mga kamera. So ngayon, bago tayo magsimula, magkita-kita tayo sa ating mga maliliit na kwadrado, sa ating mga screen. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Good morning, Chancellor. Good morning po sa lahat.
Good morning po sa lahat.
Good
morning.
Magandang umaga.
Good morning po.
Magandang umaga po sa lahat.
Magandang umaga po.
Good morning.
Good morning po.
Everybody.
Ngayon po ay tayo magsisimula na, kaya kung maaari ay atin pong isarang muli ang ating mga mikropono at ang ating mga kamera. At hintayin na lamang po ang hudyat para sa pagkuha ng larawan maya-maya upang buhayin muli ang inyong kamera sa huling bahagi ng ating programa. Maraming salamat po. At muli, magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Sa kabila ng ating kinakaharap na pandemya at masamang panahon, Walang makakapigil sa atin upang ipagpatuloy ang pagkilala sa mga natatanging kawani ng ating universidad sa pamamagitan ng palatuntunang ito na may temang nagkakaisang pagsulong sa hamon ng panahon. Kikilalanin natin ang 103 service awardees at 21 mga nagretiro sa kanilang taus-pusong paglilingkod sa pamantasan. Tayo din ay naririto ngayon upang parangalan ang natatanging husay ng 10 mga Gawad Chancellor Awardees. Bilang panimula, ating anyayahan ang UP Manila Choral upang pangunahan tayo sa panalangin at pambansang awit. Ang lahat po ay inaanyayahang tumindig para sa panalangin at manatiling nakatayo pagkatapos nito upang sabay-sabay nating awitin ang pambansang awit. Ipinapaalala sa lahat na atin pong ilapat ang ating kanang kamay sa ating kaliwang dibdib ng may paggalang habang inaawit ang lupang hinirang.
instrument of thy peace.
Bayang magiliw, Peres na silanganan, alag magpuso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hininang, tuwid ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisiin. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simula, sa langit mong bughaw, may bilag ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang siskap ng wata bawat huli tagumpay na nagnining, ang bituin ng araw niya kailan ang may magdidilim. Lupa ng araw na may hatid pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang hindi kaya dapat may mga hapik, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Maraming salamat, UP Manila Choral. Upang tayo ay malugod na tanggapin sa palatuntunang ito, atin pong tawagin at salubungin ng masigabong virtual na palakpakan ang ating butihing Chancellor, Dr. Carmencita D. Padilla, sa kaniyang pambungad na pananalita.
Isang magandang umaga sa ating lahat. Sa ating mga Vice Chancellors, mga Deans and Directors, Service Awardees, our retirees, our staff, and my colleagues in UP Manila, at sa ating mga bisita sa araw na ito. Ang araw na ito ay napakahalaga para sa UP Manila. Ang pagdiwang ng Foundation Day ay pagpapaalala sa atin na bagamat mahigit 100 taon na ang UP Manila ay 41 taon lamang. Panahon nung pinagsama-sama ang mga health sciences units. Dapat nating alalahanin ang pundasyon na ito dahil dito nagsimula ang kasaysayan ng UP Manila bilang isang pamilya. Alam na nating lahat na ang College of Medicine ay nagsimula noong 1905. Alam na natin na ang Philippine General Hospital ay nagsimula noong 1907 at nagbukas noong 1910. Alam natin na ang dentistry ay nagsimula 1950. Napakahaba ng kasaysayan ng UP mula noong 1905. Pero para sa UP Manila, kailan ba talaga ito nagsimula? Nung lumaki ang UP at nagkaroon ng UP sa Los Baños, sa Diliman at sa iba pang parte ng Pilipinas, ay naisipan noon na kailangan na nating ayusin. Balikan lang natin ang ilang mga araw na mahalaga para sa atin. Noong 1979 ay nag-decide na magkakaroon ng Health Sciences Center. Isipin nyo ngayon kung nasaan kayo noong 1979. Noong October 22, 1982, yun yung panahon na naging autonomous tayo. At linipat ang College of Nursing mula sa Diliman dito sa Manila. Noong December 21, 1983, ito ang naging integration naman ng Health Sciences Center at ng College, ang Health Sciences yung ibang mga kurso at ng College of Arts and Sciences. Noong 1989, yung Institute of Health Sciences na dating Extension Unit of College of Medicine ay naging independent unit at naging SHS. At noong January 1996 naman, sa panahon ni former Chancellor Santos Ocampo, ay inaprubahan ng BOR ang pagtatag ng NIH. At ito ay sinabayan ng isang batas noong February 1998. Kaya ang ating NIH ay ay nabuo hindi lamang ng BOR kung hindi ng batas sa pamamagitan ng RA 8503. Nagpapasalamat ako sa lahat ng nakasama sa paglago ng UP Manila at lahat kayong nakikinig sa araw na ito ay kasama ng kasaysayan ng UP Manila. Ito hindi lamang dahil sa liderato. Ang liderato ay nagbibigay ng direksyon. Walang mamangyayari sa direksyon kung wala namang susunod na mga dekano, dekana, mga direktor at mga faculty. Kaya ako'y naniniwala na ang kontribusyon ng UP Manila ay dahil sa lahat ng inyong naitulong, hindi lamang sa UP, kung hindi sa ating bansa. Alam nating mahalaga ang UP Manila sa bayan. At sa panahon ng COVID, ay naipakita na natin ito. Napakayaman ng naitulong at natutulong pa ng UP Manila itong panahon ng pandemya. Nitong nakaraang Sabado ay ako ay binigyan ng pagkakataon sabihin sa iba pang mga dekano sa iba pang mga leader sa buong bansa at sa ibang bansa kung ano na ba talaga ang nagawa ng UP Manila. At ako ay talagang nung aking binubuo yung aking slide deck ay nakita ko na nakakataba ng puso. Ang UP Manila ay kinikilalang isang major player ngayon dito sa COVID pandemic. At sa araw na ito, COVID o walang COVID, hindi naman talaga pwedeng mapigilan ang ating pagdiriwang. Ang araw na ito ay isang araw ng pasasalamat sa lahat sa inyong tulong sa UP Manila. Ang araw na ito ay isang pasasalamat din sa ating mga magre-retiro o kaya nagretiro na mula sa UP Manila. Pagkalipas ng ilang dekadang pagsisilbi, maraming salamat sa inyo. Araw din ito ng pagkilala sa mga natatanging kasamahan ng UP Manila sa larangan ng pagturo, pagsisiliksik sa estudyante, atleta at kawani at iba pa. Ipagpatuloy natin ang ating pagmamahal sa universidad. Ipagpatuloy natin ang ating pagsisilbi sa universidad dahil doon tayo ay nakakatulong sa ating bayan. Maraming salamat sa ating organizing committee na binubuo ng mga guro at kawani ng UP Manila na pinamumunuan ni Dean Sheila Bonito. Maraming salamat na maski pa COVID, sabi nga, maski pa online, maski pa kanselado ang klase sa araw nito ay patuloy ang ating pagdiriwang. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Padayon, UP Manila.
Maraming salamat po, Chancellor Padilla. At tunay ngang makapukaw sigla ang mensahe ng ating napakinggan dahil tayo ay napaalalahanan sa mayamang kasaysayan ng UP Manila at sa mahalagang naiaambag nito hindi lamang sa Pilipinas kundi sa buong mundo. Kung kaya ito ay araw ng pasasalamat. Ngayon naman ay ating tawagin sa ating virtual na entablado si Dr. Armando C. Crisostomo, ang ating Vice Chancellor for Research, upang ipakilala ang ating panauhing tagapagsalita.
Magandang umaga sa buong UP Manila community at alam ko meron pang mga bisita tayong mga tagalabas na nakasubaybay at nanonood sa palatuntunan natin ngayong umaga. Isang malaking karangalan at katuwaan para sa inyong abang lingkod ang ipakilala ang ating panauhing pandangal at keynote speaker, yung magsasalita upang magbigay inspirasyon sa ating lahat. Siya ay si Dr. Regina Berba. Marami sa inyo siguro ang nakakilala sa kanya, pero siguro magbibigay ako ng maikling pagpapakilala sa kanya. Si Nina, tawag natin sa kanya, ay kilala ko pa mula nung estudyante pa siya. Siya ay miyembro or kasapi ng medyo nagiging tanyag na ngayon na class of 1987. Nasasabi kong tanyag kasi ang kabilang sa mga kanyang naging kaeskwela ay siyempre si Director Gerardo Legaspi lang naman, mga kagaya ni Dr. Rodney Dofitas, ang isa sa mga pinakamatalik kong kaibigan sa Department of Surgery, at si Dr. Edwin Mercado, halimbawa 1987 din yan. Siya po yung nagpundar para magkaroon po tayo ng Faculty Medical Arts Building, class 1987 ang mga yan. At naging malapit ang klase niyan dahil pansamantala ay nahawakan ko sila sila ay mga estudyante pa. Although class 1986 ang aking matagal na inalagaan sa Department of Surgery. Nina ay nagtapos nga College of Medicine 1987 at nag-straight internship sa internal medicine. Alam natin na mahigpit ang straight internship. Hindi nila tinatanggap kahit sino. Pero after her internship, siya ay pumunta sa Estados Unidos. At siya ay nag-residency ng internal medicine sa Medical College of Pennsylvania. Tapos, ang kahanga-hanga kay Nina ay pagkatapos niyang matapos ng internal medicine sa Amerika, ay siya ay nagpasyang bumalik para magsilbi ulit dito sa Pilipinas at siya ay natanggap bilang isang fellow sa infectious disease mula 1997 hanggang 1998 at natapos siya bilang most outstanding fellow at siya ay ginawaran ng Ramon Abarquez Award as pinaka-outstanding fellow. Yan lang ang isa sa mga napakaraming award na nakuha ni Nina Berba sa kanyang talambuhay. Hindi ko na mabilang at babanggitin ko na lang yung pinaka-recent na ang UP Medical Alumni Society ay ginawaran siya 2 beses. Noong 2015 bilang Most Outstanding Researcher at noong 2017 naman biglang Most Outstanding in the Medical Services Award. Pareho yan sa UP Medical Alumni Society. Sa buong Universidad ng Pilipinas, ang UP Alumni Association ay ginawaran si Nina bilang the UPAA Distinguished Alumni Award in Health Research and Education. Ngayon naman, dun sa kanyang kinasasapi ang Philippine College of Physicians. Ito yung organisasyon ng lahat ng espesyalista sa internal medicine. At siya ay ginawaran din 2 beses bilang exemplar in research sa pananaliksik at exemplar for health advocacy. Exemplar in research siya noong 2019, last year, at ngayon, ito exemplar sa health advocacy. Ibig sabihin siya ang tinitingalang pinakahuwarang espesyalista sa ganitong 2 bagay, no? Pananaliksik at mga advokasya, lalo na sa infectious disease, lalo na sa AIDS. Dahil sa AIDS, siya ay kinilala bilang Ripple Awardee noong 2019, noong isang taon, bilang Individual of the Year for HIV advocacy. At ang PGH ay kinilala siya 2 years ago, 2 taon na nakalipas, bilang Oblation Leadership Awardee at nabigyan ng award ulit ng Philippine Society for Microbiology and Infectious Disease bilang Presidential Award nung isang taon, noong 2019. Okay? Ngayon, siya ay nasa front lines ng ating laban sa COVID, sa pananaliksik, dahil sa ngayon, siya ay binigyan ng mga katungkulan sa pananaliksik bilang lead trialist para sa Favipiravir clinical trial for COVID-19 treatment na tinatangkilik ng Department of Health, at ang ating PGH ay isa sa mga lead hospitals tungkol dito. Siya ay nabigyan ng World Health Organization grant for infections, para pag-aralang infections in healthcare workers. Ulit uh, ang nanunungkulan dito. At ang mga posisyon na hawak sa kasulukuyan ni Dr. Berba ay ang mga susunod. Siya ay currently Division Chief ng Division ng Adult Medicine ng buong Department of Medicine. 4 na taon na po yun. At ang kahanga-hanga ay siya ang Chair ng Hospital Infection Control Unit or HICO ng Philippine General Hospital mula pa noong 2004. 16 years na siyang nanunungkulan, biglang chair ng HICO. At siya ngayon ay associate professor. Pag nakikita ko kanyang mga accomplishments, siguro malapit na dapat siya maging professor sana. No? At sa labas, siya ay section head ng infectious disease ng isa pang malaking pribadong hospital, ang Medical City. Ngayon, para sa akin, ang pinakamalaking naging achievement niya ay sa kanyang personal na buhay. No? Siya po ay isang mabuting asawa at ina ng 7 anak. 7 ang naging kanilang supling ni Leonardo Berba. At dun sa 7 naging anak nila, 2 ay gumraduate ng summa cum laude. Si Carlo, na ang tawag namin ay si Berby, na nag-internal medicine din, nag-gumraduate ng BS Psychology sa Ateneo de Manila. At si Jose Daniel, nag-gumraduate again, summa cum laude sa BS Computer Science sa UP Diliman. No, sa lahat ng yun, ang dami niyang ginagawa, pero nakapagpalaki siya ng 7 anak. At ang naaalala ko nung si Nina ay estudyante, ay katangi-tangi at nakakatuwa yung kanyang ngiti. No? Very disarming smile, which she has never lost all throughout these years. Kahit ang dami niyang trabaho, ang dami niyang katungkulan sa kanyang sariling pamilya, ay hindi nawawala ang kaiga-agayang ngiti sa kanyang mukha. Kaya isang karangalan para sa akin ang ipakilala ang ating panauhing pandangal sa araw na ito, si Dr. Nina Berba.
Maraming salamat po, Dr. Crisostomo, sa pagpapakilala sa ating panauhing tagapagsalita. At ngayon, mga kapamilya ng UP Manila, tunay ngang isang malaking karangalan at pribilehyo ang ating mapakinggan ng mensahe ng ating panauhing tagapagsalita, walang iba kundi si Dr. Regina P. Berba.
Hello, good morning everybody. Sobrang ninervous naman ako, Dr. Crisostomo, sa introduction nyo. But I'd like to just say that I'm very honored to be here today. To our dear Chancellor Padilla, officials and personnel of the UP and PGH, and all our distinguished awardees and retirees, my dear colleagues and friends, and thank you very much, Vice Chancellor for Research, Dr. Crisostomo. I'd like to say special thanks also to Dean Sheila. Because of her, I am here, and it's really a great honor for me to be here. I gave my keynote speech the title, So Much Achieved, Still Much to Do. And I have 3 stories to tell. So the title of my speech gained inspiration from the recent release of a New England Journal of Medicine editorial by Dr. Fauci and colleagues. Dr. Fauci is one of the most distinguished HIV researchers of our time. And he describes in this editorial the extraordinary journey that HIV and AIDS saga took. From knowing nothing about the HIV virus, which at the beginning of the AIDS epidemic gave a death sentence to all its victims, to where we are now, just over a short period of 4 decades of work, science, and advocacy. Our HIV patients now live lives just as long as non infected individuals. Millions of lives and new infections have been saved by the scale up of the antiretroviral therapy. The world have seen how the number of new
Nina?
cases. Yes po.
Excuse me po. Ano po, slideshow po.
Yeah.
Yan, okay
The
po.
world has seen how the number of new HIV cases, as well as the deaths from AIDS, have markedly and consistently gone down for more than a decade now. But the battle is not over yet. The world continues to see a lot of new HIV infections, and stigma, discrimination, and widespread inequalities are still major barriers. We therefore cannot rest on our successes. Hindi pa tapos ang laban. Still so much to do. Another such incredible journey is that of tuberculosis. This is my second story. There is a legend that goes like this. Once upon a time, a certain group of ingenious advocates of TB sat in a traffic in Bangkok soon after they attended a TB conference. It was a time when the Philippines had one of the highest levels of TB in the world. They were discussing about the boisterous disagreement and bruised egos prevailing at that time. And there was a feeling of private physicians about the incredible and unrealistic plan of the DOH related to the National TB program. And then there was this eureka moment, and they realized that good intentions and clinical expertise of just individuals was not enough for a problem as big as tuberculosis. And thus, the Philippine Coalition Against Tuberculosis, or PhilCat, was born. And through PhilCat, which has grown to have 65 member groups, professional societies, and civic organizations, much progress in TB was accomplished. We endearingly call him, you see him in the picture now, the father of PhilCat, the first ever national chair. And maybe because of him, we are now able to join the rest of the world to discuss and dream about ending TB. There was a time I was his sidekick, or alalay, so you see that in the picture. We carried the ambitious vision of seeing a world free of TB. Can you just begin to imagine it? A world with zero TB deaths, zero TB disease, and zero TB suffering. Dr. Rowe was one of the main movers that made it possible for the opening of the TB Dots Clinic in our university hospital. Naku, ang hirap po talaga. Ang daming kontrabida. But we were able to launch the TB program in the Philippines and in the UPPGH. So this is the NTB strategy, and this is all about how we might be able to envision a world without TB. And this is how we tried to start TB program in the UPPGH. The name is UP Prime, but because of him, there came into being more of us who learned from him and inspired by him. And we are where we are right now. Thank you po, Dr. Roa, for all you have done in your life for us, for the TB patients, for our country, and the rest of humanity. But as I keep on saying, hindi pa tapos ang laban. We will continue to need you all the more. You will see in this slide that indeed progress is being made such that at the end of 2019, global indicators for reductions in TB burden, improved access to TB prevention, and increased financing were all moving towards the right direction. Pero kulang pa. That's why the United Nations Secretary General gives us a lot of recommendations needed to reach the targets. Indeed, still so much to do. I come now to my third story. We come to the current COVID-19 pandemic. Now on our 7th month after the pandemic was declared by the WHO. For most of us, this period has changed almost every segment of our existence. And it has certainly changed our hospital. I presented the next set of slides during a talk to the international ambassadors of the Society of Healthcare in America. This is a prestigious group of infection control professionals, mostly doctors from all over the world. I narrated to them our story of transforming our university hospital to a COVID referral facility. I describe our journey as both breathtaking, challenging, and actually forced every scientific knowledge I had to guide and provide expertise to fight a virus we knew little about. I was fortunate to have a truly dedicated team, a strong ID faculty, and a hard-working group of ID fellows and a supportive administration. The pace was so hectic that there was no time to adjust or get depressed or get lost or feel tired. We just needed to prepare the hospital. So this is what happened. It started off being selected as a COVID referral center by the DOH and then declared as a COVID referral center. We needed to prepare the hospital and keep everybody inside it safe. We studied hard and discussed and innovated and then kept our fingers crossed and prayed a lot. I guess everybody was also praying with us and followed us. So if this is the map of the PGH, we decided that it would be best to put the COVID wards in wards 1, 2, 3, and 4. So our team is not a big team. This is HICU. I really just have a few nurses, but the HICU became the center point for policies, training, implementation, inspection service, research, and everything else that needed some decision making. The science of safety of everybody guided our operations, and we tried to always have some sound bias for everything we did. So even as we rapidly had infrastructure changes, trying to make the workplace safe, we even had this very unique unidirectional natural airflow system with giant fans and exhaust systems to achieve the required 12 air exchanges per hour. Kahit na parang primitive, it was actually very much advocated by the SHE when I presented this to them. So if you see the little pieces of paper, it would prove to us that we were producing the air exchanges that we needed to move the ventilation. And in a few days, PGH was ready. Parang ang ganda-ganda niya. And the pre-COVID emergency room with hundreds and hundreds of patients soon became COVID ER, COVID wards, and COVID ICU. The safety of our own healthcare workers guided our operations. We had the engineering controls and administrative controls to set the human traffic inside the COVID areas. The engineering controls designed the COVID wards, and the administrative controls dictated movement and action of staff. We had to look into the needs of all and at the same time oversee the details of each individual and every area. So we had to be able to map out exactly where people are at every specific time of the day and exactly where they were in the COVID areas. There were so much innovations going on at the same time. All sorts of PPEs were being sent to us for evaluation. We virtually became masters of PPE and quickly became familiar with what probably will work and not work. We had to be bolder than usual and make policies even with not so solid evidence yet, just to protect everyone. Like declare that mask was needed while inside the hospital and impose that face, we call that level 1, and imposed face shields to staff on top of the face mask to all seeing non-COVID patients, and we call that level 2. So this is how our PPEs looked like. And actually, before we knew it, hospitals from other places in the Philippines started to adopt what we call the HICU levels 1 to 4 PPEs. The pickup of our healthcare workers, I'll show you the video. The pickup of our healthcare workers was phenomenal too. What took us forever to teach in the pre-COVID era, like using alcohol, about changing gloves, about wearing N95 for airborne precautions, and gowns and gloves for contact precautions, were all instantaneously absorbed without questions and without arguments. So we had all the training that needed face to face and in virtual circumstances. One of the best ideas of all time, maybe unique to the PGH, and maybe the reason for low infection rates, is the safety officer. They are called trained observers in scientific literature, but the title safety officer was more catchy, and that was what we called them. They became so effective that SOs, well, I have a video here. That's what SOs would do. They have become so effective that SOs have become permanent fixtures in our COVID areas, like safety blankets. And now, as much as I think we do not need them anymore, I cannot take them out of their assignments at this time. People just love them. We had a lot of reminders, and we had fit testing. This activity is very new. It's all about laborious way to check the masks, but the front lines you would see here, they would suffer quietly in line just to make sure that their masks are well fit. We had orientations, which were both easy and hard. Here, I show you photos of face-to-face orientations with real-life frontliners giving us their feedback and suggestions. So after we launched the COVID wards, the number of healthcare workers per shift and per day for the daily team to take care of 100 to 150 COVID patients was so unbelievably high. We had to make sure there were 350 people inside the COVID areas every day, and we had to make sure they were safe and okay. Fortunately, we had a very high level of morale for healthcare workers. This is a series of pictures, and you would see in the middle, Director Gap Legaspi himself. He's very hands-on, and I think that's part of the reason why the healthcare workers feel comfortable about working inside the COVID areas. After the second month of operation, we just needed to know exactly how many of us have the COVID infection already. So we ventured to do hospital-wide testing. And what happened here? We saw the unprecedented voluntary participation of so many UPPGH personnel, 4,871. That has never happened in any of the health campaigns I've had launched in the past decades. And as much as close to 88% came during the scheduled nasopharyngeal swabs. And the rest you probably heard of how low, how very low, 2%, or only 99 out of the 4,871 healthcare workers tested positive for the COVID-19 despite the high burden of infections we were all exposed to. So that's how it looked like. We further sub-analyzed the results so that we looked at people working in the COVID areas who had only 1.4 infection rates, and in the offices, only 1.1%. So it was really, really amazing and gave us strength to move forward. So it was really a hospital and university community effort. All of these things that I wrote here tell us that everybody was really trying to pitch in. Residents, fellows, nurses, admin personnel, volunteers, donations, and everybody in the hospital and in the university were helping in whatever way possible. There's this amazing group of doctors who I've been working with. We call them the Information Education Committee, IEC team headed by Dr. Eric Berberabe. And the idea is just to sometimes the idea is just still in the tip of my pen, and they have already transformed the idea to really nice infographics. So everything we've set out, that came from this committee. And to date, they have probably made over 1,000 different IEC materials about COVID-19. Then along the weeks, many other groups from all other clinical departments would give on and contribute whatever services they can offer to the healthcare workers and to the patients. As the saying goes, all hands on deck. I distinctly recall the great concern for detail of incorporating the science of infection control to the actions of our Father Lito, our chaplain, in using the holy oil to bless sick patients with COVID and giving Holy Communion and leaving prayer books so we can protect him and protect the patients as well. Father Lito is now able to hold daily masses at the PGH chapel. Here is Dr. Dennis Serrano, who is a transplant surgeon, but took care of purchasing, finding suppliers for our needs. Together, we would discuss cost issues and to our best abilities not make cost an issue. But we needed mechanisms to temper frantic requests for equipment and wasteful practices thought to be protective, but actually with no evidence or even with evidence towards harm. And we needed to put mechanisms so that these wasteful practices won't happen. Then thanks to the Chancellor, the UP-PGH Bayanihan Na Hotline 155200 was launched. It was the dedicated hotline for PGH response to COVID-19 pandemic, and is now also an integral part of the telehealth efforts. PGH could not have made it if it were not for the many, many, many donations from generous persons, families, companies, and officials from government and private groups. There were many donations in kind, supplies, equipment, and many more in terms of services and accommodation spaces, particularly transportation and places near PGH. Here are the accommodations near PGH for our healthcare workers to stay and safely sleep. Here's Dr. Dofitas, who actually was the one navigating the impossible task of finding places to stay for more than 1,800 persons. And that meant asking help from 15 hotels, 10 schools, and religious dormitories. And many of our colleges in the campus actually were converted to dormitories. So, and neighboring universities also became havens for PGH frontliners. So the HICU, working with the COVID command center and the rest of administration, has become the center point of many COVID policies. But we recognize that people are our most valuable resources. Whether they're our patients or our healthcare workers, we had to help manage their fear, keep them informed, and keep them protected and comfortable. These are what happened to our patients. So as of yesterday, we already had 1,584 recovered patients and more than 2,000 admitted patients. That that translated to also about 2,000 families. And it was the innovation of Dr. Homer Ko, the Telekumusta, that made communications between families and patients possible. This is what happened to the patients. So we had mild, moderate, severe, and critical. And these are how they were according to their age. The data consists of the first 1,000 patients we had in PGH. And I would say that these patients receive probably the best care for COVID 19, but you would see that when they're severely or critically ill, even under the best care, their mortality rates are really high. What about the employees as persons? So these are the number of total swabs we've done for healthcare workers. Each vertical line, each vertical bar, the light green bars represented the number of swabs done per day. And the darker part of the bars represented those that are positive. So kahit na counting dudas, fear, anxiety, or exposures, we allowed healthcare workers to get tested. And you would see in this next diagram, I'd like you to look at the yellow column. So this for us represented the number of healthcare workers who who developed their COVID-19 because of occupational exposure. They were working in COVID wards. And for a while, we really worried when they were going up from 17 healthcare workers to 26 to 36. But by August and September, we felt we were getting a good handle of the situation and were answering or addressing the gaps we had in infection control. So that by September, there was just one case that we thought was occupationally obtained. So we were celebrating this success. And this is our epidemic curve. Each vertical bar this time represented the number of healthcare workers with COVID 19. When they're colored blue, that means they obtained their COVID 19 from the wards or the COVID wards. And when they're orange, that means they obtained it elsewhere, usually either from their homes, from their community, or other people. So you would see here that more of the healthcare workers actually got their infections from outside the COVID wards. But it's still important to be able to control and prevent these infections because it had impact in our workforce. So this is what we called adaptive policies. Some people thought, HICO keeps on changing their policies, but we were really adapting to the needs of the people and adapting to the evolving evidence in the body of infectious disease knowledge and related disciplines. Last August, with the uproar on the controversies related to COVID testing, our group released a paper of lessons learned from being a COVID referral hospital. And the more recent policies are about the new level 2.5. So, di ba kanina I showed you level 1, 2, 3, 4. Tapos biglang hindi na useful yung level 1 and that's only the face mask. So, we moved forward and inserted a level 2.5. And this is to update and keep on track the kind of protection that our healthcare workers needed. The other new policy that I hope you might be able to get some message from would be declaring PGH under the universal pandemic precaution. And that means each one of us, when we enter the hospital, must assume that everybody may be potentially infected and behave and live accordingly. And that's the only way we can protect ourselves and our patients. This actually ends my story of PGH on COVID 19. The Shea audience of international ambassadors was so amazed. They were all so amazed with everything that I've shared with them. Actually, they invited me for a second talk. They seemed to be overwhelmed with the idea of bayanihan, working together. Wala daw ganun sa US at saka sa ibang countries. So they wanted to know more about how we do it. And just to reverberate my message, hindi pa tapos ang laban. Still so much to do. We continue with the clinical studies, the solidarity trial, and have started the Avigan or the Favipiravir study. And there are other studies which have started, like the WHO Bayanihan Healthcare Workers Study. Some people feel it might already be too late, but no, we think this pandemic may stay for a few months more, and we need to continue to search for answers. Hindi pa kasi tapos ang laban. If you look at this slide, there are surges going on in many parts of the world. This article from the US was just last Saturday, and they recorded the highest ever single day new number of COVID infections, 85,000. A similar trend is being experienced in Europe. So abangan natin kung anong mangyayari dito sa Pilipinas in the next few years. In the next few weeks. Please continue to take care of yourself. Nobody else can take care of you other than yourself. Anticipate exposures, potential exposures, and reduce those exposures accordingly. Panay ko po pinapakita to. This is an infected COVID-19 individual. So breathing normally, he would exhale droplets up to 2 meters away from him. But having more vigorous breaths or laughing, talking, sneezing, coughing, he would generate more droplets and aerosols. Just like this. Kung exhaling, the droplets will travel 1 meter within 1 second. Pero pag umubo or mag-sneeze or mag-cough, the turbulent gas cloud will rapidly spread and contribute to, if you are there around this infected person and you do not have a mask, then you might get the infection. There's a video that became viral last week. You can catch it maybe in your Facebook, showing how Japanese computer systems were able to model exactly how the droplets and the aerosols travel and make us prone to infections. So I would like to end with the message of hope. Laban lang tayo. Maybe you have heard a motivational speaker of the US called Jeremy Anderson, who so eloquently included in his speech these words infectious and contagious, but he said it in a very positive way. May our love be infectious and may our hope be contagious. And I add the third and the fourth bullet. May our faith be strong in our continuing difficult journey, and may we proceed with humility, gratitude, and joy. I echo the statement of the WHO Director General Tedros. who says what we need now is science, solutions, and solidarity. And I add a fourth and a fifth bullet. I want to add to these three S's the fourth S, which is we need service to do more, and we need a sense of hope, faith, and joy. The last two lines are specially for our distinguished awardees and retirees, whom we look upon for more expertise, guidance, and service. We really need an overdose of a sense of hope, faith, and joy to keep us going through this uncertainty. Let's fill our homes and workplaces, our friends, our messages, our thoughts and dreams with hope, faith, and joy. And finally, it may have been said many times before, but from the deepest of my heart and my soul, I reach out to all the awardees and retirees, past, present, and future in the audience. Because the UP has known you, we have all been changed for good. Maraming maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat, sa lahat ng inyong mga ginawa para sa amin at para sa ating pamantasan. Mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Maraming salamat po, Dr. Berba, sa mga mahahalagang impormasyon na inyong ibinahagi sa amin. Tunay na kahanga-hanga ang inyong naging kontribusyon sa larangan ng medisina, lalo na po sa panahon nitong pandemya. Mabuhay po kayo. At salamat sa paalala sa aming lahat na pangalagaan ng aming sarili at kalusugan. Napakalaking hamon po ang iniwan mo sa amin. Tulad po ng sinabi ninyo, hindi pa po tapos ang laban. Marami pa tayong kailangang gawin. So muli, kapamilya ng UP Manila, bigyan po natin ng isang masigabong virtual na palakpakan, no? Ang ating panauhing tagapagsalita. At bilang pasasalamat sa ating panauhing tagapagsalita, atin pong iginagawad ang sertipiko ng pagpapahalaga. Pahintulutan po ninyo akong basahin ang nilalaman ng sertipiko. The University of the Philippines, Manila, the Health Sciences Center, awards the Certificate of Appreciation to Dr. Regina P. Berba for sharing her wisdom, knowledge, and insights as keynote speaker during the 38th UP Manila Day and 41st anniversary of the Health Sciences Center, given this 26th of October 2020 at the University of the Philippines, Manila. Signed, Sheila R. Bonito, the chair of the 2020 UP Manila Foundation celebration, and Dr. Carmencita D. Padilla, Chancellor, University of the Philippines, Manila. Muli, maraming salamat po. At bago natin kilalanin ang ating mga pararangalan, muli nating tawagin ang UP Manila Choral para sa isang natatanging bilang. Palakpakan po nating muli ang UP Manila Choral.
From a distance, the world looks blue and green, and the snow-capped mountains white. From a distance, the ocean meets the stream, and the eagle takes to From a distance, we all have enough, and no one is in need. And there are no guns, no bombs, and no disease, no hungry mouths to feed. From a distance, we are instruments marching through a common band, playing songs of hope, playing songs of peace, playing songs of every man. God is watching us. God is watching us. God is watching us from a distance. You look like my friend, even though we are at war. From a distance, I just cannot comprehend what all this fighting is for. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the hope of hopes, it's the love of loves, it's the voice of every man. It's the hope of hopes, it's the love of loves, it is the voice of every man. God is watching us. God is watching us. God is watching us from a distance. God is watching us. God is watching. God is watching us from a
Maraming salamat, UP Manila Choral, sa napakagandang rendisyon ng From a Distance. Sadyang napakahusay ng ating mga awit. Ito ay isang napakagandang regalo para sa ating mga pararangalan. Dumako na tayo sa ating pinakahihintay, ang tampok na bahagi ng ating palatuntunan, ang pagkilala sa mga service awardees. Ating inaanyayahan si Professor Richard S. Javier, ang ating HRDO Director, upang tawagin ang ating mga service awardees.
Darwin, hindi raw maka-unmute si Professor Javier. Please assist him.
Sir Richard, please toggle the unmute button po. You are a co-host po.
Mukhang nagkakaroon po ng technical problem si Sir Javier. Kaya habang hinihintay po natin siya, siguro magandang pagkakataon na batiin natin, no, ang ating mga awardees, lalo na yung ating mga service awardees. Mukhang nagkaroon po ng connectivity problem si Director Richard. Ano po? So, siguro habang hinihintay natin siya, ano kaya, makaka-connect pa kaya si Sir? Kung naalala niyo po yung nabanggit ko kanina sa ating panimula, mahigit 100 po, no, ang ating mga service awardees sa taong ito. Kaya talagang pagpupugay ang ibibigay natin sa kanila dahil hindi po madali, no, ang ialay ang kanilang oras at panahon sa paglilingkod sa pamantasan.
Alam mo, Professor Emily, ito'y madalas abangan ng ating mga kawani at mga guro sa
Opo,
ating
ma'am.
selebrasyon, ano? Kung saan sila kinikilala nga sa ilang dekada, no?
Opo.
Makikita nyo dyan, yung iba dyan, nakaka 40 years of service. At 40, 35, 30, 25, 20. At pag nakita nyo sila ay nakakataba ng puso na hindi sila umalis at pinagpatuloy nila ang kanilang yung ating awardees ay piling-pili sa ating komunidad. Kaya ay sana naman ay mabigyan natin ng tamang pagpapakilala sila. Professor Sheila?
Yes, ma'am.
Sa'yo ba
Mukhang
ang
nahirapan pa pong bumalik si Professor, no? Kaya ngayon po, ipapakita na
tayo?
natin, no, yung ating
Yes.
inihandang video bilang pagpapakilala sa ating mga service awardees.
Maraming salamat.
Thank you, ma'am. Muli po nating virtual na palakpakan ang ating mga service awardees. Tunay ngang kahanga-hanga ang inyong dedikasyon at pasyon sa paglilingkod sa ating universidad. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Ang paninilbihan sa universidad ng ilang taon ay kahanga-hanga na. Paano pa kaya ang mga taong higit pa sa kalahati ng buhay nila ay inilaan na sa paglilingkod sa pamantasan at dito na nila tutuldukan ang kanilang serbisyo publiko. Upang ipakilala sila, inaanyayahan po namin si Dr. Arlene A. Samaniego, Vice Chancellor for Administration upang ipakilala ang mga nagretiro.
Magandang umaga po sa lahat. Excuse me. Bago ko po ipakilala ang ating mga retirees, nais ko pong batiin ang mga service awardees at pasalamatan sa kanilang walang humpay na pagseserbisyo sa ating universidad. Sa ngalan ng administrasyon at ng buong UP Manila, malugod naming inihahandog ang ating pagpupugay sa ating mga retirado ngayong taong 2020. Sa aming munting alay na virtual, naway maipadama namin ang aming taus-pusong pasasalamat sa paghahandog nyo para sa universidad ng inyong panahon at talento. Salamat sa paggugol nyo nito para sa pagsulong ng universidad sa kanyang itinakdang mandato, ang paghubog sa ating mga mag-aaral, paglinang ng mga bagong kaalaman, at pagserbisyo sa kapwa nating mga kawani at ng sasambayanang Pilipino. Bagamat virtual ang ating pamamaraan at hindi tayo pisikal na magkama, naway maibahagi namin sa inyong lahat ang aming kahilingang maging masaya at makabuluhan ang susunod na yugto ng inyong buhay. Enjoy your retirement despite the pandemic, and we wish you all to stay happy, stay safe, and stay well. Mga kaibigan at kasama sa UP Manila, I am proud and honored to present to you our UP Manila Retirees 2020.
The end is not in sight, but the stars are out tonight, and they're bound to guide my way. When they're shining on my life, I can see a better day. I won't let the darkness in. What a journey it has been. Forward, always forward. Onward, always up. Catching every drop of hope in my empty cup. What a journey it has been. In the end is not in sight, but the stars are out tonight, and they're bound to guide my way. When they're shining on my life, I can see a better day. I won't let the darkness in. What a journey it has been. What a journey it has been.
Saludo sa lahat ng ating mga retirado. Tunay pong karapat-dapat kayong parangalan sa inyong katapatan sa paglilingkod sa ating mahal na pamantasan. Maraming salamat din po, Dr. Samaniego. Tayo po ay dadako na sa huling bahagi ng ating pagkilala sa ating mga natatanging kasamahan sa pamantasan. Sa puntong ito, atin pong muling inaanyayahan ang ating mahal na Chancellor, Dr. Carmencita D. Padilla, upang ipakilala at igawad sa mga napili ang Gawad Chancellor Award.
Itong yugtong ito ay isang pamamaraan para bigyan natin bigyan natin ng parangal ang ilan sa ating mga kasamahan sa UP Manila. Nung nagsimula itong COVID, inisip namin ba ay magkakaroon pa ba tayo ng ating awardees? Pero naipakita natin sa UP Manila na COVID nga or not COVID, lahat naman talaga ay nagtutulungan at tumutulong sa marami. Kaya itong parting ito ay isang paraan para sabi namin ulit sa inyo na isang maraming salamat. So ipakilala natin ngayon ang ating mga awardees sa taong ito at pinasasalamatan ko ang kasamahan, ang mga sumama doon sa paghanap, masugid na paghahanap kung sino ba ang ating magiging awardee sa taong ito. Maraming salamat sa inyo.
UP Manila Gawad Chancellor Outstanding Teacher, Jervy M. Punzalan, College of Arts and Sciences. Assistant Professor Jervy Punzalan has demonstrated exceptional teaching in chemistry and biochemistry courses and expertise in content and pedagogical knowledge through the development of courses and laboratory manuals, active engagements in teaching workshops, and publications of conference proceedings, book chapters, and peer-reviewed research articles in the past 5 years. Through the teaching grants she has received, including the 1 UP Faculty Grant for Outstanding Teaching and Public Service, and the iTuro Faculty Grant for Blended Learning, she went beyond the expected outputs for teaching, mentoring Filipino scientists of the future using technological tools in teaching chemistry and biochemistry courses. 2020 UP Manila Gawad Chancellor Outstanding Researcher, Derek Earl P. Sumalapaw, College of Public Health. Dr. Derek Earl P. Sumalapaw is an excellent educator and a prolific researcher with multifaceted expertise in biostatistics, medical microbiology, clinical pharmacology, and computational biology. He integrates concepts from clinical practice, medical therapeutics, drug design, and advanced mycology. From 2016 to 2019, he published 35 journal articles. He has studies on mathematical models of biological systems, including antimicrobial resistance, immunologic responses, disease surveillance, trauma and injury, including pharmacologic drug design primarily on antimicrobials. He is one of the outstanding medical interns and a recipient of the UPMASA PEF Academic Scholarship and recipient of the Santos Chu Kimshi Academic Scholarship. 2020 UP Manila Gawad Chancellor Outstanding Faculty in Extension Service, Arnold B. Peralta, College of Nursing. Assistant Professor Arnold B. Peralta actively participates with a community of nurse educators, practitioners, and other stakeholders in the nursing profession. He promotes and conducts programs and activities that strengthen competencies among colleagues and shares best practices in the field with nursing practitioners and professionals across the country. He is an expert in nursing education curriculum and has provided technical assistance to government and professional society initiatives to improve nursing education. His most notable extension works were his involvement with the Professional Regulatory Board of Nursing in crafting the monograph on embedding and spreading of the 2012 National Nursing Corps Competency Standards, providing technical support to key nursing educational institutions in 4 strategic regions in the country for the CHED's Project on the National Nursing Corps Competency Standards, helping design and implement a new disaster training program for the Philippine National Red Cross, and participation in the Cambodia Bridging Program of the College of Nursing. 2020 UP Manila Gawad Chancellor Outstanding Research, Extension, and Professional Staff, Jorel A. Manalo, Human Resource Development Office. Mr. Jorel A. Manalo, a Master of Public Health degree holder and University Researcher 3, has been actively championing the role of the Research Extension and Professional Staff Association in UP Manila as its current president. He is active in espousing the rights and privileges of UPM faculty and reps as the current representative of the UP Manila Central Administration to the AUPAEU Manila Chapter and a secretary of the Research Personnel Fellowship Council and Research Welfare Council. He was training course assistant in several College of Public Health training programs commissioned by the Department of Health, namely the Health Leadership and Governance Program for DOH health workers and Municipal Leadership Governance for the Poor for selected mayors and health officers. He co-authored 3 published articles and contributed to several manuscripts and technical reports in collaboration with other research faculty. 2020 Gawad Chancellor Outstanding Administrative Employee Level 2, Riza D. Florentino, College of Allied Medical Professions. Ms. Riza D. Florentino handles her dual role of being acting administrative officer and student records evaluator of the College of Allied Medical Professions efficiently, even when the college is adjusting to major changes caused by the pandemic. She is a key contributor in developing Continuation, the college's roadmap in responding to the demands of the pandemic. Her organizational skills and innovative solutions have led to effective and efficient work arrangements for each administrative staff and monitors their health status and well-being. She initiated the online document tracking system of the college for easy monitoring and reference. She shows commitment to continual professional development by attending trainings, seminars, and workshops. She is a member of different committees in the college and UP Manila and is the document and records custodian of CAMP for the university's ISO project. 2020 UP Manila Gawad Chancellor Outstanding Administrative Employee Level 1, Wilito S. Lequin, College of Allied Medical Professions. Mr. Wilito S. Lequin is a valuable team player with an optimistic attitude in performing his tasks. He has the ability to troubleshoot urgent, minor repairs that benefit the college by minimizing expenses that would otherwise be spent for service providers or new materials or equipment. His creativity enables him to take on unfamiliar tasks with a cheerful disposition. He is respectful and demonstrates due courtesy to the faculty, co-workers, as well as students. He commits to continued professional development by actively participating in several trainings or seminars. He is also a member of different committees within camp, and Mr. Lekin has received several recognitions and awards in camp. He was recognized as the Outstanding Administrative Staff of Camp in 2004, 2005, and 2010. 2020 UP Manila Gawad Chancellor Outstanding Student Samuel C. Madriaga, College of Allied Medical Professions. As a third-year BS Occupational Therapy student, Samuel C. Madriaga has already shown exemplary performance in academics, leadership, and community service. He has maintained his cum laude standing and currently holds positions in various organizations in and out of the university. Samuel has a wide list of community service engagements ranging from college-wide activities to nationally relevant activities. He primarily advocates for an empowering community for the youth and persons with disabilities, along with an elevated campaign for health education. Samuel is a sought-after speaker, trained peer educator for adolescent and sexual reproductive health with training from the Y-Peer Pilipinas, and is one of the San Pablo's youth frontliners. 2020 UP Manila Gawad Chancellor Outstanding Student Organization, Mu Sigma Phi Fraternity, College of Medicine. Founded in 1933, the Mu Sigma Phi Fraternity has shown exemplary performance as a student organization, instituting both internal activities that sharpen the formation and engagement of its members and external activities that provided relevant impact to the university and local communities. Its notable projects are the Project H2O that provides potable water sources to communities, the Kisumbing Escandor Film Festival, dedicated to improving the health of the Filipinos through the arts, and the Mobility, which has supported amputee patients in different provinces, and its numerous outreach and medical missions to various communities in the country. The organization and its members have received awards including the Student Project for Health Award 2020 by the Foundation for Advancement of International Medical Education and Research. During this pandemic, the fraternity has continued its service to the communities through various COVID-19 related activities. 2020 UP Manila Gawad Chancellor Outstanding Artist Juliet R. Bien, College of Arts and Sciences. Professor Juliet R. Bien has the exceptional ability as an ethnomusicologist, which is unique and rare in UP Manila. The Philippines' cultural heritage through ethnomusicology has to be promoted and supported, and she responds to this call by her active engagement in Philippine ethnic music and culture, thereby raising awareness among university members. Through her performances, she contributes to the protection and promotion of our cultural heritage. She is the best representative to address the call to action of the truth and reconciliation by integrating indigenous knowledge and teaching methods into the classroom and teaching students to volunteer in ethnomusicology. She is recognized for contributing not just to the national, but also to the global aspect of promoting the preservation of our cultural heritage through her indigenous music. 2020 UP Manila Gawad Chancellor Outstanding Athlete Chesa S. Pitu, College of Arts and Sciences. Assistant Professor Chesa S. Pitu has been a lifelong swimmer and has collected medals and achievements early on, most notably from the Palarong Pambansa, University Athletic Association of the Philippines UAAP, UP Varsity Swimming Team, CHED Tertiary Palarong Pambansa, National University Games, and ASEAN University Games. Her love affair with water sports also saw her join and train as part of the Philippine Women's National Water Polo National Pool. This holder of BS in Sports Science and Master of Science in Human Movement Science, major in Physical Education, degrees from UP Diliman, presently handles PE classes in Arnis. In April 2019, she competed in the Southeast Asia Pacific Masters First Philippine Series alongside swimmers from Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Philippines, where she won 2 gold medals in the 25-meter breaststroke and 50-meter breaststroke.
Pagbating muli sa ating mga Gawad Chancellor Awardees, tunay ngang kahanga-hanga ang inyong mga ipinamalas na husay at kagalingan. Sa ating mga retirado at sa ating mga service awardees, muli, saludo po kami sa inyo. Ang buong UP Manila ay nagpapasalamat at bumabati sa inyong lahat. Salamat po, Chancellor Padilla, at maraming salamat din po, Professor Buenaling Teresita Ramos Mortel. At sa puntong ito, nais po naming pakiusapan ng lahat na wag munang umalis sa ating Zoom para sa photo opportunity pagkatapos nating awitin ang UP naming mahal. At upang aliwin tayong muli sa pamamagitan ng kanilang mga malaanghel na boses at awitin, ating palakpakan ang UP Manila Choral sa kanilang bersyon ng Rosas Pandan. Salamat muli, UP Manila Choral. Siguradong lahat kami ay napaawit at napaindak ninyo, no, sa inyong awitin. Maraming salamat. At ngayon naman, no, ay ating tawagin sa ating virtual na entablado si Dr. Camilo C. Roa, isa sa mga pinarangalan sa umagang ito upang magbigay ng tugon sa ngalan ng mga pinarangalan.
Magandang umaga. Yan, I see myself. Madam Chancellor Padilla and the members of the UP Manila administration, our dear deans of the different colleges in the campus, the directors of the institutes, and of course, the Philippine General Hospital, my fellow retirees, service awardees, and chancellor awardees here with us now in this call, and the faculty, staff, students, alumni, and friends of the university. Indeed, a pleasant rainy morning. Yun lang maganda dito sa pandemic. It doesn't stop us from meeting kahit umuulan dyan. Huwag lang mag-brown out. First, let me recognize our indefatigable guest speaker and co-advocate to eradicate TB in the Philippines, Dr. Nina Berba. Indeed, she is the person behind the success of our TB Dots, Prime Dots program that shows to the world that our institution, a tertiary care hospital, is also engaged in infectious disease. They may call it primary, but it's a top 10 killer in the country and therefore is a relevant thing to do. Thank you very much, Nina. Speaking in behalf of my co-retirees and awardees recognized today, is indeed an honor and a distinct privilege. In the next few minutes, I hope to capture and share with you what I believe are our common collective experience in UP Manila, even if we come from different colleges and institutes. Case in point, working in a government learning institution, for most of us, I dare say, can really be a daunting and indeed a challenging experience. UP pa naman, where our students belong to the creme de la creme, the best of the best. We are pressured to project ourselves at all times, that we are smarter than them. A burden it may be, this very pressure actually ensures that we keep ourselves always at the updated in knowledge and skills, both in the domain content like science and in the art of teaching delivery. As we all know, resources are not always adequate. However, we have learned to adapt, to accomplish our deliverables using available local materials, even fabricating some if necessary. For my demo on lung mechanics, for example, maaga pa lang, inabangan na ni Rainier, yung aming laboratory technician, ang intact lungs from the slaughterhouse. Otherwise, they will mutilate it kasi didiretso naman yun sa bopis. But we need an intact lung that we will put in a device we made with pumps and some tubings from PGH that functions like a lung where students can actually see how the mechanics actually play. These models can be interrogated, manipulated by students to generate data that I believe enrich and stimulate their young minds. I know this experience is shared by most faculty and support staff of UP Manila. And through the years, we have collected these teaching pearls that we endorsed eagerly to our young faculty. thereby ensuring continuity of the enhanced learning experience that UP Manila is known for. In the university, we have learned also to put in writing our experience, document test procedures, publish results of our experiments, and even monetize some of the intellectual properties that have been generated. Indeed, UP Manila research output significantly contributed to the recognition of UP as a top learning institution in the country and among the best in the world. Authorship in peer-reviewed publications is important, as it does not only carry accolades, once in a while, cash prizes and travel grants, it also perpetuates one's name and the university where we belong. When shared, the author's thoughts and validated hypotheses can be translated to policies and programs that uplift the lives of our people and streamline the healthcare delivery in our country. Fittingly, our university gives high value to the works of these authors and researchers. Some of them are here in this call. As we go along in our work in the campus, sooner or later, we became sensitized that we are in UP Manila, a government institution. It is built to serve the Filipino people. That there are needs of the nation that we can help provide in many more ways than classroom teaching. Many in the university faculty have excess capacity to do more on top of being excellent teachers. Encouraging its faculty to be part of the national discourse is in fact a mission of UP Manila. Not surprisingly, we see the names of our colleagues prominently engaged in off-campus activities. They are presidents, board members of the respective specialty organizations. In medicine, wala yatang medical society na hindi nagkaroon ng presidente na hindi nanggaling sa UP College of Medicine. Our honor speaker, Nina, has been the national chair of the Philippine Coalition Against Tuberculosis, or PhilCat. Many others serve as heads of study group, guideline committees, regulatory agencies, and even pharmaceutical companies. Some got local and international recognition for their work and advocacies in various areas like vaccines, patient education, TB eradication, asthma control, anti-smoking, and so many more. Again, some of these personalities are being honored here today. For the retirees in this ceremony, we know that this is a venue where we are publicly congratulated for a job well done. As mentioned, many of us retirees have dedicated more than half of our life, the best parts of our life, as committed and dedicated employees to the university. Aside from the plaque, meron na tayong pensyon. Di hamak mas mataas kaysa SSS o private organizations, employees doon. Dahil retired na, hindi na tayo hahabulin ng ating mga respective chairs, director, or deans. Wala na rin i-fill up na salin. We can now have the time to be alone or be with our family, whose company we sometimes have to miss because we are engaged in UP Manila activities. Ayun, dapat pasyal-pasyal na. Yun nga lang, may virus. So, antayin natin mawala yun. At age 65, many of us are actually still productive members of society and can still address the needs of our institution. Kahit wala na tayo dito, officially. Wika nga, may asim pa, di ba? Wala nga lang sweldo kasi retired na. Well, as the saying goes, money is good, but it's not everything. Among many among the retirees are happy to pay back the nurturing care of the university that it has given through the years to us. Halika, sali tayo sa Alumni Association ng ating kolehiyo or institute. Be part of foundations that support UP Manila. We have the UP Medical Foundation. We have Sakit Buhay Foundation for the Department of Medicine. And we have UPMAFI for the College of Medicine. And many other similar organizations. And if there is extra money that you and your immediate family will probably not need in your lifetime, donate some for student scholarship and faculty chairs. If you're in the bigger game of politics, project the honor of the university and support its mission. If you get to become Secretary of Health, oh, who knows? Be sure, mabigyan yung ating mga frontliners na PGH ng promised hazard pay. Yes, we are now in the midst of a deadly pandemic. Despite this, and likely with abundance of caution, I have seen colleagues from UP Manila, including those who are supposed to be hunkered at home dahil high risk, actively involved to help mitigate the effects of COVID-19. Many are helping the government develop and implement adaptive policies. Well, for one, I was once asked to be in the IATF meeting with President PRRD to make science-based recommendations and debunk some of the myths. Some of us have served as fiscalizers in civil society to fine-tune government program implementation and minimize waste in resources. That's very good, very important. Well, while hospitals banned me from visiting COVID floors since I too belong to the high-risk group, pag retired ka, di ba? This has not stopped me and many of us from participating in patient management virtually, appraising the most recent literature, giving webinars, all to share updated knowledge and experiences to practitioners out there, even to those who are not in UP. Actually, we reached bigger audience of practitioners now in the country than ever before with these electronic platforms. Many of us are physically engaged, actually, in various projects that address this pandemic. Well, in my case, just to exemplify, it is putting up the first community isolation facility for mild and asymptomatic COVID patients in Quezon Institute, a tuberculosis facility. Now we are extending the bed capacity of this COVID facility from 112 to 162 beds. And we have sent home close to 1,000 cured patients, meaning we have probably prevented the spread of the virus to several thousands more and saved lives. Right now, if you pass by Rodriguez, you'll see new buildings coming up for a new 110-bed hospital facility that will take care of moderate COVID cases. Yes, there are still a lot that needs to be done. Mayroong pandemic or even kung wala na. Having our awardees and retirees here shows that the community at large, that in UP Manila, one's work and aspiration, both inside and outside the campus, do not go unnoticed. To the awardees and my co-retirees, let me join our administration to say in closing, good job. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, Dr. Roa, sa isang nakakaantig damdaming tugon. Tayo po ay hinikayat ni Dr. Roa, kahit na retirado na, no, na ipagpatuloy ang mga makabuluhang ginagawa sa loob at labas ng pamantasan sa iba't ibang pamamaraan at sa abot ng ating makakaya upang mas maging makabuluhan pa ang ating buhay. Muli, Dr. Roa, maraming salamat po. At sa puntong ito, mga kaibigan, ating tawagin ang tao sa likod ng matagumpay na palatuntunang ito, ang punong abala, walang iba kung hindi si Professor Sheila R. Bonito, ang Dean ng College of Nursing at Chair ng 2020 Committee on the UP Manila Foundation Celebration para sa kanyang pangwakas na pananalita. Palakpakan po natin si Professor Bonito.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat, bagamat maulan at mahangin sa ilang lugar. Isang maligayang pagbati sa mga binigyan ng parangal sa umagang ito. Una, sa mga napiling Gawad Chancellor Awardees, mabuhay kayo. Tunay na kayo ay mga inspirasyon, lalo na sa panahon ngayon na nangangailangan tayo ng mga huwaran. Itinaas ninyo ang gawain ng mga kawani at profesional sa panibagong antas ng kahisipagan at kahusayan. Ipapadala na lang po namin sa inyong mga tahanan ng mga plake na simbolo ng karangalan bilang Gawad Chancellor Awardee. Gayon din sa mga nagsipagretiro sa universidad, isang walang hanggang paalam at inaasahan namin na kayo ay kabahagi pa rin ng universidad. Malaki pa rin ang inyong maitutulong sa pagsulong ng mga adhikain at proyekto ng UP Manila. Mayroon din po kaming inihanda na maliit na simbolo ng pagkilala sa inyong pagiging bahagi ng UP Manila, ang Oblation Statuette. At ang mga binigyan ng pagkilala para sa mahabang serbisyo sa universidad, naway manatili ang inyong kagalingan at dedikasyon sa trabaho. Meron din kaming inihanda na simbolo ng pagkilala sa inyong serbisyo, ang naging tradisyon na sa UP Manila, ang relo na may larawan ng UP Oblation. Maraming salamat din kay Dr. Nina Berba sa iyong buong pusong paglilingkod sa UPPGH at sa sambayanan upang labanan ang COVID-19. Ang iyong gawain ay isang pagpapatunay na kailangan ng nagkakaisang pagsulong sa hamon ng panahon mula HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis at COVID-19 at ang pagpapaalala na hindi pa tapos ang laban. Maraming salamat din kay Dr. Camilo Roa sa iyong makabuluhang tugon bilang kinatawan ng mga pinarangalan. Tunay na ang mga nagretiro ay marami pang maaaring gawing pagsulong para sa universidad at sa bayan. Isa kayong tunay na inspirasyon sa amin. Sa pagtatapos ng ating palatuntunan, nais ko ring magbigay pasasalamat sa mga taong nagbigay ng kanilang panahon at talento para maisaayos ang pagtatanghal sa araw na ito. Maraming salamat una kay Professor Emily D. Collins sa kanyang napakagaling na pagpapadaloy sa ating palatuntunan. Kay Professor Buenalyn Teresita Ramos Mortel sa kanyang pagbasa ng mga citations para sa Gawad Chancellor Awards. Sa UP Manila Choral para sa mga awiting nagbigay sigla sa ating palatuntunan. Kay Lea Salonga sa pagpapaunlak na gamitin natin ang awitin The Journey bilang tribute sa ating mga nagretiro. At maraming salamat din kay Doc Melfred Hernandez sa pagiging tulay para maitampok natin ang mga awit na ito. Sa mga kasapi ng UP Manila Foundation Day, Celebration Committee at subcommittees na bumuo ng mga alituntunin at pumili ng Gawad Chancellor Awardee sa taong ito, maraming salamat. Sa HRDO sa pakikipagkoordinasyon sa mga nagretiro at nabigyan ng service awards para makadalo sa ating palatuntunan. Sa IPAW para sa mga suporta sa paggawa ng slides, pagsulat ng citation at paghahanda ng souvenir program na ilalabas natin sa UP Manila website. Sa IMS sa pagsuporta sa ating webinar at mga pangangailangang teknolohiya. Sa lahat ng mga kolehiyo na nagbigay ng tulong para sa mga slides para sa mga pinarangalan. Sa araw na ito ng ating pagdiriwang ng Araw ng UP Manila at ng anibersaryo ng Health Sciences Center, lalo nating pairalin ang nagkakaisang pagsulong sa UP Manila, anuman ang hamon ng panahon. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat po, Professor Bonito, at sa lahat ng mga miyembro ng iba't ibang komite. At sa inyong lahat na virtual na nagsidalo sa palatuntunang ito, maraming salamat din sa inyong lahat. Sa mga binigyang parangal sa umagang ito, taus-pusong pagbati. Ito po ang inyong lingkod, Dr. Emily D. Collen, ng National Teacher Training Center for the Health Professions ang inyong naging tagapagpadaloy sa programang ito. Maraming salamat po. Bilang pagpupugay sa ating minamahal na pamantasan, ating awitin ang UP naming mahal. Dito na po nagwawakas ang ating palatuntunan. Hanggang sa muling pagdiriwang ng ating UP Manila Day at anibersaryo ng Health Sciences Center. Mag-iingat po tayong lahat. At ngayon, inaanyayahan na po ang lahat na magbukas ng kanilang mga kamera para sa pagkuha ng ating mga larawan o photo opportunity.
Pwede pa nating gawing kasi 'di ba may group photo tayo usually. So can we start with siguro yung by decade? Ginagawa natin yun eh. Let's have a photograph by decade para makunan ng mas marami sa stage. Sino mag-organize? Tin Sheila, can you help me? Let's call out yung hindi kasama sa decade na yon, pwede tayong isang group photo tapos by the decade. Para meron naman tayong memorable picture of our day. Sige, Din Sheila, ikaw na in charge.
Sige po, subukan natin. Siguro para lang sigurado muna ay halo-halo muna tayo. So para lang siguradong buo. Tapos tatawagin po natin bawat dekada. So magbibilang po ako. Siguro kailangan lang tayong ngumiti ng matagal-tagal.
Po. I'll
smile,
back up
everyone.
din po for a picture taking.
Sige.
So para po double po yung ano natin.
Okay, sige. So
ready po? Ready?
Sige
po,
ready.
Kila kayo na po mag-count.
Sige, okay. Okay, smile. 1, 2, 3. And then one more. Don't move. Smile. 1, 2, 3. One more. Smile. 1, 2, 3. So fourth frame. Smile. 1, 2, 3. Huling frame na po ito. So, may mga hindi naka-open ng mga video. So, baka gusto nyo pang humabol. Smile. Okay, 1, 2, 3. O, ayan po. So, meron kasing ilan na hindi nakikita yung mga larawan. So, baka hindi kaya ng bandwidth.
Our video is not open. We cannot start our video.
Darwin or Ian, baka pwede nating matulungan bago natin tawagin siguro yung per batch.
Okay po.
Si Dr. Sioksoan Kuwa. Halimbawa.
Sir Shock, thank you for hanging on. Ang dami niyang challenges pero nakapasok din siya. Maraming salamat.
Pwede bang ma-enable natin ang video? Ayan!
Yan. Okay na.
Nakita na namin kayo. So, meron pa po ba na hindi na kailangan ng tulong? Sabihin niyo lang. Si Assistant Professor Jervy, parang nawawala po ang video. Ayan, okay. So,
okay.
Paki-open lang po. Subukan natin yung paano kaya yung Chancellor. Subukan natin per decade.
Yes. Ang gagawin natin, i-turn off nyo. Ano nga ba yung first set natin? Gagawin lang natin. Gusto mo by the college?
Lang.
I will leave it to you.
Sige.
I will leave it to you. Kung gusto nyo by the college, baka mas madali, halo-halo na tayo.
Okay po. So, subukan natin siguro yung muna, yung per awardee siguro. Tapos tingnan natin yung per college. Kasi mas marami yata yung per college. So yung mga kinatawan po ng service awardees, kung sino po yung mga nandito, pwede po bang i-leave on ang inyong mga pictures, ay ang mga video?
Video.
So sinong mga maiiwan? So ang mga maiiwan ay mga service awardees.
Can I request the Vice Chancellors and Dean Sheila to stay?
Sige po.
So, kasi yun yung ating typical photo op sa stage.
Oo, sa stage. So BC Arlene, BC Nimia. At pakitulong lang din Darwin Ian, si Ma'am Grace Odal, hindi rin makastart ng video.
So imagine niyo na lang na sa social hall tayo, tapos nagpo-photo op tayo. Ito yon. Okay, Milo, nakasarado ka. Juliet, nakasarado ka. Juliet Bien. That's it. Si Butching, nakabukas na ba?
Service awardee ba yan?
Service awardee po.
So kasama bang retiree?
Service, sorry, hindi kasama retiree. Service lang.
Oo nga.
Milo, sarado ka.
Milo, hindi pa.
Yung mga retirees po, may pagkakataon mamaya.
Tara muna yung mga retirees. Sino pa ba yung retirees dito? Retirees, sarado muna. Retirees. Okay, retirees. Okay, hindi sila retirees. Okay, sarado. Okay? Okay.
Okay, so picture po ulit tayo. So, Ian, back up ka ulit. So, smile.